are back, and I'm afraid that Eigner has to take a short rest or something like that. The water heater guy is here to work on our water heaters. I'll be back as quickly as I possibly can.
Yeah, so I will take over in the Kyling aspect of this thing, and I'll start with introducing who's going to be doing the group therapy bit first. So usually I'd be asking Agner because he seems to be more invested in what's happening lately than anybody else. But I mean, both Alton and Onn just watched a guy's head get ripped off by a helmet. So, uh, what is Alton feeling right now? What's going on with his perspective of the situation?
Um, I don't think that he believes it's real yet, honestly, because he just went through. He just saw a massive illusion where literally the entire world around him was shifted to include um people. Like that's a massive spell. Like that's like high level, like over ninth level spell shit. And because I can't think of a spell that would do that level of stuff off the top of my head. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somebody will correct me and I'll look like an ass. Um,
Maybe we
but
should put that helmet on. Maybe that'll make something come to the top of your head.
right, exactly. But yeah, so he at this point he is very much so skeptical of uh of the situation at hand. Um, I think that that won't stop him from. Yeah, I think he's skeptical. I don't know how he's going to react in the moment, but I think right now he's at minimum skeptical
Okay.
of everything.
So yeah, he's just watched a helmet animate itself, tear a guy's head off, and now he's like, this is probably an illusion, just like everything else has been. It makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah, I think so. We'll see how we'll see how he reacts from there, but I think that's the start.
Cool. And where's On at?
On's in a weird place. He was not comfortable with vampires in the first place. And since On knew a little bit about vampires, as we established in the last episode, and it was uh, his understanding of the situation, whether true or not, is that vampires are a twisted corruption of the life force from the Feywild shoved into a body. So it's a perversion of things he holds dear, and he's been flipping out and freaking out at a whole bunch of people. Right now, the gore is probably going to be something that snaps him into focus to concentrate on this situation, um, and get into more of an action-oriented uh, way of dealing with things, rather than succumbing to his fears. But his actions are going to be informed by his fears strongly. I don't think On is necessarily in control of his emotions, more that he's overwhelmed by them, and so it appears as if he has none for most of the time. So having
So
the
this
head.
is much in the way that like Eridu would get locked down with his emotional reactions to things too. Kind of
Yeah.
after Okrim's death, Eridu having that like I don't know how to emotionally respond to this situation, but I'm not finding my emotions are lining up with what I think they should be.
Hmm. So
And kind of like a basically like what a Vulcan goes through whenever they are confronted with extremely confusing emotional implications.
hmm. Yeah. And very, very much a Spock-like thing. I know that his situation is further complicated by uh, the additional human element. But yeah, that whole like you're supposed to be in control of your emotions and be really calm and everything, but this situation what warrants a different response. So I think On's going to quickly run through sort of Sherlock style. What are going to be the things to do in this situation, and then pick one and go with it. but I'm not sure entirely what those are at the moment. One of them is going to be run away quickly, because I have no idea what sort of connection this helmet might have to the rest of the stuff going on. It could be that it's not connected at all. It could be that it's indelibly connected, because in this town, over the last 24 hours, 2 boxes have arrived. One had a dead body in it, and one had a helmet in it. And the dead body wasn't really dead.
And the helmet wasn't really dead either.
Yeah. Things moved when they shouldn't have moved. And that is a problem.
All right. So where you guys left off, Baron had put this helmet on his head, and the metal that it's made up of began to fuse and shape. Part of it building into like leg-like spines that pushed the head from the body, tearing the flesh and the neck free. The other parts expanded into bat-like wings. As this was happening, Baron's death rattle became this piercing screech, followed up by a second piercing screech as Goethe pushed herself up from the table and pretty much like shoved herself against the wall, like howling in terror at this horrible thing that's just happened. I would like the both of you to make me a wisdom saving throw. DC 14.
I get to use my newly tested and balanced dice.
Is this fear based?
Yes, it is.
Okay, advantage of being frightened.
Good deal. I'm going to just, for the sake of this whole situation, say that Eigner, as he begins to draw his sword at the thing that's happening with his helmet, he understands more of what's going on than anybody else, having actually like been connected with this helmet, and is just shaking in place.
I pulled up his character sheet. I can play for him if you need.
Oh, I just wanted to remove him from action because I know that Kyle would want to respond, but I figured.
Oh, nat 20!
Nice.
I decided to use my whatchamacallit, Tides of Chaos thing to give me advantage. I got a 7.
Okay. I'm not going to make you roll the chaos thing yet. I have another time for that. But so you who has failed, you are now frightened, and in your frightened, you are stunned. While you're frightened, you're stunned.
Do with my books.
The other thing that I would like to do now that 2 of us are frightened and 1 of us is not is Josh, you and I get to roll initiative.
Okay.
Or rather, you get to roll initiative, and I get to do what I do with monsters in combat.
Wow, that was not great. 13.
Okay. Drew, do roll initiative and let me know at some point because you will. Actually, you should get it for the frightened condition.
Yeah. Because I think he can still like
save at the end of the round, or
save at the end of it. Yeah. And I think you roll for stun and you roll for everything. So
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so 13.
You got a 7? All right. So
or sorry, 15.
15. All right.
Oh no, 13. God, I'm stupid. 13. I apologize.
All right.
I'm mixing up my numbers. My bad. 13.
After this piercing screech leaves Baron's mouth, his eyes are rolling around madly in their socket, and they set on Tecker, who's just staring at him wide-eyed and just holding on to his hand, which has got the big gash from when he opened the box and cut him, or when he like threw the dagger but cut his palm. He is staring at his father's decapitated head with blood streaming from his hand in wide-eyed horror. And then Baron begins to fly in his direction. Josh, what are you going to do?
he flies in Baron's direction.
Baron flies in Tekker's direction. Baron is the
Oh,
severed head.
right. Baron's the one that's head.
Exactly. Tekker is the bad magician.
Right. Oh. Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna basically, because I'm still kind of like scaffold the situation, but I just in case I don't want to stop him, so I'm gonna smack him with the flat of my blades.
Okay.
Start with the flat of the Xephos. So I'm gonna go up to him essentially, and
So you're like baseball batting this head.
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, basically, and I'll do like basically yeah. I'm gonna. That's what I'm gonna do. Oh, yeah, I'm not gonna use that yet. So yeah, I'm gonna basically use 2 swings and basically do almost like just 2 hits essentially. One with the Xephos, one with Copus.
All right. Give me those rules.
Okay, so first roll is, what is my plus? 13.
That will miss.
Yeah, I figured.
So your first roll, go ahead and roll.
And second misses. It's worse.
Yeah. So you just come at him with both blades, just swinging. Almost like you're trying to hit him with both blades at once, and the head just bobs above your blades, and then comes on like this diving down swoop, right at Tekker. Tekker puts up his hands, and his father's teeth sink into the bloodied hand, and then pull back, ripping a chunk of flesh out. And then Tekker, for the first time, begins to just scream, his pitch matching his mother's in the corner. And now it is your turn, Drew. You are shaking in your boots for fear of this scary flying head. Why don't you go ahead and tell me what you're doing?
I will convince myself that I am not afraid, run to grab a stool or a chair, and once I've grabbed it, think to myself, I'm going to run over to this helmet, jump into the air and slam this thing down on it and try and like catch it. They're using the legs of the stool to try and like pin it down and have this thing trapped underneath. And then of course I'm going to find that I cannot move an inch towards this thing.
So you got up and you grabbed the stool and you look at it, you're just like, I can't do it.
Essentially, yes.
All right. Go ahead and roll your save throw. It's actually a DC 12 now.
Ooh. I tested you. I trusted you. That's a 6.
Oh man. All right. You are still frightened. And that puts us back up to Alton. At this point, the Baron's head's kind of like turned half to you and half to Tekker, and it's just chewing on the flesh that it's just torn out of his hand.
Okay. Okay. So a lot of blood, a lot of screaming.
Yeah.
I'm starting to think this is pretty for serious. So I'm going to go ahead and cast Hunter's Mark and send Domini to the other side and create a flanking maneuver. Oof! Thank God. So yeah, it hits. It's natural 17 plus 6, so 23. So that is 2d6. 13.
Was that 13 damage?
Yeah.
Nice. So Is this a head in a helmet flying around?
It is a head in a helmet with wings,
That is.
like giant wings that are. Actually, hold on. I will see if I can grab it for. Yeah, it's a giant. It's a giant head with whatchamacallit.
So we've got a headless torso that's just on the floor, spilling blood out as well. And now
Yeah.
Tekka's
Well,
hands have a chunk taken out of it.
yeah. We have all sorts of things going on that are
Sorry
super
about
nasty.
that. Family
All right.
stuff. Okay, so you've done 13 points of damage to it as you've smacked it with your swords.
Right. Well, just the one, because I used my bonus action to cast Hunter's Mark.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so you as you swing your sword, it just kind of like slams into the metal. You realize it's just like there's metal has encased most of the face. Like it's sort of
Right.
like slowly fusing over the parts that are fleshy. And your attacks don't seem to be doing much to the helmet itself.
Okay.
Read between the lines there, if you will. And then it turns at you and kind of spits out a little chunk of bone and then dives at you with its mouth wide open. And you have a chance to just easily avoid it.
Okay.
And then it kind of spins around, taking in the room, almost looking confused at what to do next. It's got two people like, huddled in corners screaming, and one person just kind of shaking there, standing, holding a sword. Another person shaking there, holding a stool. And then it starts to fly towards Domni, considering her to be possibly the biggest threat in the room.
Okay.
And that makes it Drew's turn.
Right. Panicking at this thing moving around and the fact that I am unable to move closer to it, I will make a few steps to get further away from it, towards the door to this place. And then I'll let loose a chaos bolt. You let me down, man. That's an 8.
Oh man.
Like, I took all my 8 dice, all of them, and I put them in cups of salt water. Because I heard that if you can make them float and stuff, and like you bob them down, you can see if they've got any biases. And I found loads of my dice had bias, and these don't. These unbiased dice are rolling consistently low, and I don't like it.
Oh man, get some cheater dice then. All right, so your chaos bolt shoots from your hand, goes wild, narrowly missing Alton. I would like you to go ahead and roll on the chaos chart now.
72.
What is it?
There's Eigner.
Yeah, sorry about that. The water heater guy was extremely chatty. Nice dude. Nice dude.
It's like I got a phone call while you were gone, and it was the same thing. It's like a lady I've known for a while, and she's trying to get my kids into something, and she's like keeps talking. I'm like, I'm in the middle of something. I'm just taking down the basic information, and she just keeps talking.
Real life is just interfering with our Dungeons and
You
Dragons.
wait, because like both these people we're talking about are going to end up watching this at some point. Those judgmental.
Hey, I said he was very nice. I did say that.
Chatty.
But well, yeah, I know, but also nice. Okay, so anyway,
nice and chatty.
What happened with Onn's wild magicness?
I get resistance to all damage for 1 minute.
Hey, it's the same thing that happened the last time. What are the chances of that?
So
a 2 in 100 apparently.
As you make your way towards the door, like one hand lashes out, launches the chaos bolt. The other one grabs the door.
Come on.
And as you look back, you see the door is melting. The wood twisting and turning into like this wood-like liquid that stretches all from your fingertips up to the rest of your body. A second later, the door is gone, but you are covered in essentially a layer of bark.
Bark skin.
Or rather, more
Dope.
like finished wood that is now all over your body.
Finished wood skin.
Yep. It doesn't share the same ring as bark skin, but
Bark skin. Yeah. Okay.
And Kyle, I would like you to go ahead and roll me an initiative roll,
Yay!
and I will let you shake off your frightened effect since I've just incapacitated you for 2 rounds, pretty much.
Oh, okay. Good. I have a 4.
Okay. You have been standing in terror with your sword half drawn because you just are taking in the ramifications of exactly how terrible this helmet could be, and the fact that you have worn it, and at some point your head could have been removed from your body in the
It-
same way that Baron's was,
It's very shocking.
and you just you don't even know how somehow you did not have that happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
But once you kind of shake that, you take in the scene. The helmet has Baron has come forward and like bit a big chunk out of Tekker's hand, the same hand that he had cut when he had opened the box in the first place, and then was like using the knife to like throw it. Some kind of magic trick that Alton had talked him into doing. And now it's flying toward Domini, about ready to take a bite out of her neck. What are you gonna do?
What is my positioning in relation to Domini and the helmet?
The room itself, you're in the common room of Sven's head, so it's not a particularly big place. So it'd be very easy for you to make a full movement and then, or even partial movement, and then make a melee attack. But he is quickly moving close to Domini, so it's only feet away from her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like diving down. So Domini's a wolf. It's probably getting down to like the 3 foot in height range.
Okay, well, I am going to use my movement to get close enough, and then I will definitely use one of my special diddlies. My special diddlies that I have. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the special diddlies. I know what you
you
mean.
know, that's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. I
Those
use
diddles.
Some of those regular diddlies.
I
No.
use a superiority.
You don't use the regular diddles ever. It
Uh,
doesn't go well.
Hey, it's a superiority dice attack thing, and I'm rolling. I think I will use the goading attack. I'm banking on them having shit wisdom. And
You keep on banking that.
yeah, I'm banking on it. And then the attack.
But I mean, you do know Baron didn't seem very wise. He put on the helmet in the first place.
Very true. So that's going to be a 21 versus AC.
That hits.
Dope. And then I rolled pretty well on the damage. So how about a 14 slashy slash damage first of all?
All right. So you bring your sword just down. It just kind of clangs into the top of the helmet. And you notice like your sword doesn't put a dent in the helmet at all. It does the head just pops down, smacks onto the ground, and kind of comes back up again. But it doesn't seem like you've damaged the helmet at all.
Well, also you have to make a saving throw.
I will do that.
Make a wisdom saving throw, DC 13.
That would be natural 8 and -2.
Hell yeah.
So I failed.
So you have disadvantage on all attack rolls against targets other than me.
Oh, cool. All right. Well,
Until
in
the
that
end of my
case,
next turn, yeah.
Baron and this angry helmet turn towards you, and by now you've seen that the metal has fused down along the bottom jaw and started to grow up, giving his bottom jaw a row of metal fangs. He flies towards you with his mouth open, and
Bring it.
that would be a 18 to hit.
That will hit.
All right. He crash. Do you have a shield or a sword, or
I have a
you?
shield.
Okay. Yeah. So you raise your shield, and he collides with your forearm just above the shield, and crunches down on the armor. You feel the metal of your armor twist and bend under this impossible grip strength, bite strength, and
Well,
you take.
I don't like that.
No, it's not great. You take 7 bludgeoning damage. It would be piercing had it not been biting through your armor itself. And you see, like, this the saliva, it's like this just diseased looking shit, start to spew across your armor, and the armor itself kind of is smoking a little bit.
Great. Just great.
And that puts us back at the top of the initiative order with Josh. This creature is clung to Eigner's forearm, trying to bite through pure metal.
Okay. Well, all I have to do is just get behind it in order to create a flank. So, I'm gonna just do that, right? Because that's all I need to do to create a flank. Because since
Yeah,
Eigner
just you and one of the creature within 5 feet of you.
yeah. So then what I'm gonna do is, yeah. So I'm gonna do that. I'm going to get behind him and just start, just basically swing. There's not a whole lot I can do. A ranger this low level, I don't have a lot of spells, so basically just again same thing. Zephos, Copus. So first one is
Don't forget
Zephos
your
is
hunter's
piercing and Copus is slashing, in case that matters, but I don't think it does. So the first Zephos is 22 to hit.
Yep.
And then yeah, more. So hits
Those
both.
both hit.
Yeah. Why am I not able to do math in a second? 22 damage.
Whoa!
Separate damage sources.
Yes.
Piercing is.
Oh no, yeah. Tell me the separate damages. Sorry.
Okay. Piercing is 8 plus 4, so 12.
Okay.
And
10
then slashing is 10 total.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So yeah, it's the same thing. You like jab out with your piercing weapon, and it just clanks into the helmet, and then you slash. And again, it's just like you're smacking a metal ball with weapons, and nothing is actually puncturing the metal at all.
Right. Yeah, I'm definitely frustrated, but I also know I don't really have any other tricks up my
Right.
sleeve. All I got is this right now. So.
Exactly. And it's while it's holding on, it's just going to crunch down even more into Eigner's armor. So
It gets another turn? Hmm.
it does.
Oh, because it's going on every person's turn?
Yeah, there are reasons. So
Okay.
Kyle, in this case, I would like you to make me a Constitution saving throw.
Hey, I can do that. I think. Let me get my number. Okay.
It's DC 12.
Go. That was only a 4. So
Okay, that does not beat a DC 12.
No, I mean technically it's 8, but it does not beat DC 12. Okay, so what?
Real quick, are you wearing chainmail or are you wearing like plate mail?
Actually, I think I'm wearing scale mail.
Okay, cool. That works. So
Oh no, it is chainmail. Whoops.
Oh, okay. That's gonna actually make my descriptions a lot different. The links of your chainmail start to bust under the strength of this thing's bite. You also are hearing as bone is cracking, the top layer of teeth, which aren't surrounded in metal, are crunching and breaking under the strain of biting into chainmail. But the chainmail on the bottom side of his bite is popping and shattering under, or breaking under his grip, and you feel something, just hot white pain as this lower metal jaw sinks into your forearm, and you are now taking.
Look, can someone actually do something constructive about this thing that's on my arm? Like,
You're taking 11 poison damage.
Ugh. Asa,
And
you're so mean to me.
I am very mean, and it is now Drew's turn. It's now Onn's turn.
Right. Do I need to? Is it the beginning or the end where I should be making saves against fear?
Oh, end. Sorry.
End.
Yeah, you should have made it at the end of your last turn. I don't think you did.
I should have done. Would it be alright for me to make that save now to see what my actions are this turn?
It is all right. It's a DC 12.
I rolled an 18. That's a 19
Alright.
now. Right.
So you are no longer afraid, or rather, rational mind has kicked in, and you're Groot. So
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to follow through with my initial plan now that I've steeled my resolve. Now that I'm coated in wood, vampires, they don't get on well. I read that somewhere. So yeah, let's go and tackle this thing. I want to grab it. I want to hold it under a chair. I'm assuming it'll basically be like a grapple. I'm basically pulling it from his arm and trying to hold it down with a chair.
definitely make me a grapple check, O Sorcerer, with all of your strengths.
I immediately regret my decision.
I'm a helpful GM.
You're gonna do so good.
Oh, you got it. You got it.
Best 6 I ever rolled.
All right. Well, since he is clinked on to Eigner, I'm not going to allow him to use his dexterity to get away.
Okay.
He's going to have to use his bite strength on Eigner's forearm to keep you from being able to yank him free. So what was yours?
6.
Mine is a 10. So
Oh well.
yeah, you come up and you grab onto those bat wings and just yanking. And Eigner, you've got someone yanking this thing that's like biting into your arm. This does not feel good.
No. On, you're not helping.
What have I done?
On, you're not helping.
At least I'm
Wow.
trying.
Well, at least you are.
And that's your turn, Eigner.
Well, oh shit. Okay, so is he, like, as far as official conditions, does he have me grappled? You're unmuted.
Yes, I'm sorry. I would say yes.
Okay, I will use an action to break the grapple.
Okay.
Let me get my numbers going on. Wow. Oh dear God. I have a total of 9 athletics.
So how are you going to break this grapple? How are you going to attempt to break it?
Well, if he's latched onto my thing, I'm gonna find the nearest solid object and just try and smack him against it.
Got
So
a
like
man
a
of
wall
wood
or
right here.
something?
Huh? Yeah,
Like
or
a
just,
wall or a
yeah,
table? or
a
something?
wall. I'm just just gonna like break him against something, and hopefully that loosens his jaws or whatever.
So you yank him free of On's grasp with little effort and just start smacking him against the wall, but try as you might, this thing is not letting go.
Ugh, okay. Well, in that case, I will do an improvised melee attack with an action surge.
Okay.
And I am going to. I'm not exactly sure what role you want me to do here, but he's on my arm, and I'm gonna assume that his eyes are open and looking at me. Is that
Yeah,
fair
of
to
course.
assume?
That's
Well,
fair
I'm
to
just
assume.
gonna go and just put my finger right in his eye, like super gross.
Okay.
Super gross.
Yeah. I will allow you to make this attack. If you hit, you can deal the improvised damage, or you can blind him.
Well, I don't know if blinding is gonna help all that much because he'll just keep chomping on me.
That's true.
But I don't know. I'd like to do both, if at all possible. All right. So, what do I roll? Just like my strength modifier? Is that it?
Improvised attack, yeah, would just be d20 plus a strength modifier,
Okay.
since you are not proficient in improvised weapons.
Okay. How about a 12? Not rolling so hot.
A 12 will hit.
Okay. Sick. Okay. So.
In this case, because you're going for the fleshy parts.
All right. So, what if I just deal like my strength modifier and damage and blind him? Or is it a choice?
It's a choice. Do either the damage or the blind.
All right, fuck. I'll blind him.
Alright.
He's blinded. I hope that helps because I just used
So-
my fucking action search. But actually, also I'm gonna use my second wind.
Okay, you jam your fingers into Baron's sockets and feel his eyes just pop under the pressure that you've dealt. Like just as you pull your fingers out, like the ooze of his eyes just kind of like drain some of these empty sockets, and
Gross.
it lets go of your arm
Sweet.
and just kind of like flutters for a minute, smacks into the wall, and then turns toward toward On, and then this colorful piece of cloth drops over top of it. And as you look up, Tekker is there with one of his like the little like magical silk that he pulls out of his sleeve, wrapped over his father's head, and kind of like trying to close one end of it, like he's got him in a bag. And he kind of looks up at you guys, and then proceeds to swing this whole packaged deal at the wall.
At a babe, Tekker.
Alton, it is your turn. What are you gonna do?
Okay, so I'm going to very much so run up to Tekker and wrest this from his hands and say, "This is no time for games, boy." And
Seems like he was helping to me.
He's a kid playing a man's game right now.
It's all a matter of perspective.
He got lucky that this thing was distracted. That's it. As far as Alton's concerned, so we'll see how Tucker can handle himself. But as far as Alton's concerned right now, the kid got lucky that he didn't have space bitten off again. So he's gonna grab him. I don't know if Tucker's gonna want to resist.
I would say in the moment Tekker would resist because he's got just this swinging motion happening. He's in the middle of an action. He's not thinking about anything he's doing in that moment. So
that's fine. So then that would be my athletics versus his athletics or acrobatics, I guess.
I'm making it a strength thing because he's just swinging blind and.
Okay.
Yeah.
It 19.
That you win.
I would assume so.
Yep.
So I'm gonna grab it. And how durable is this material?
It is actually a pretty thin silk, so it's not that strong. Like this, there's already like holes punched in little spots from just portions of the helmet itself.
Right.
The wings are beating against it. They're putting little tears here and there. It's not going to hold very long.
Okay. So then, in that case, I am going to. I don't know if this is possible. I am going to kind of in the moment drop my swords, grab a dagger, stab it, and then in the eye, the one that Eigner just kind of fucked up, and then kind of in that same motion, basically just stab and grapple.
Oh yeah. So in order for you to be able to pinpoint any specific spot on this creature, you've got to move the scarf.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's basically whole action. So I'm basically gonna just try. Blind hope, like kind of aim, hope I can hit the right spot, but not guarantee it.
Yep. Well, I'm not going to make you roll at disadvantage because you're still going to be able to stab at it, but
right.
I'm not going to promise you're going to hit anything fleshy.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. So, and he is not. This is too fast of a action to try to set up any kind of flank.
Right.
So, fucking Jesus. Okay, well, the attack is a natural one. So, At the very least, there's that, and then grapple. So I'm gonna try to. I have to now roll my athletics, and also a natural one.
All right.
So,
hey, Craig, are you watching? Mike, if you're still watching, you got some stuff to do, man. All right, so you bring your dagger down and actually end up cutting a big gash in the silk itself, and then as you go to you put it down on the table, right?
I was just grabbing it basically and just kind of just grabbing and hoping to basically create a opening for Eigner to just start hammering on it.
Yeah. So you your grapple check ends up just like you crash into a table and like lose your grip and stumble to the ground as it tears free of the silk, and just it blindly flies around for a minute, like for a few seconds in the room, smacking into walls, and then it like as it's crashing into walls, it crashes through a small round window.
Great.
And little bits of glass and everything just shatter down into the room as it flutters outside into the daylight. A shaft of light is now pouring through the open hole. Gerda is still screaming as she's been doing this entire exchange in the side of the room, and Tacker.
I'm gonna order since this will still be my turn. I'm gonna tell Dominique to. I'm just gonna say get it.
Okay.
So she'll
and
go
because
off.
you are still hunter's marked on it, you have that where it's at. So Dominique goes diving through the door that no longer exists because it's wrapped around on.
Yeah.
And Tacker has dropped his back against the wall that he was going to smash his father's head into, and has slid down the wall onto his. So he's like kind of just on his butt, his knees up in like a fetal position, just cradling his hand that's mutilated at this point.
Right.
I'm gonna say this is out of like combat's over, so you guys can react how you need to react.
Okay. I'm gonna basically, without thought, just book it out the door and just follow. I still have lock on it, so I'm gonna just.
Yeah.
And actually, Eigner is gonna follow Alton, sheathing his sword and pulling out his two hand axes that he has, and
obviously
he's gonna be swearing profusely, and also just hopped up on adrenaline still at this point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think it should go without saying that I grab my swords because that would be stupid for me not to.
Yeah. No, I. What's Onn doing?
I think Onn's gonna take a minute, sit on the stool that he had, like pick it up, sit down on it, and then a thought will occur to him. He'll take out his herbalism kit and he'll go over to Tekka and start trying to stick roots into holes and whatever herbalism looks like.
Is this how it works? Is that herbalism?
Yeah, I'm gonna try and tend to Tekka and ignore outside. This has been a weird situation. Alton and Naga can chase that thing, but yeah, let's see how Tekka's doing.
All right.
And maybe even get more info if I can, after a few minutes and healing him and stuff. See if I can find out if he knows anything about the box, but also does he know anything about his granddad?
Right. So Gerda is still screaming, and as you get over to Tekker and start herbalizing his hand, there's just this yellowish green pus buildup around the spot where the bite came from, and you can see like along the back of his hands where his veins are at coming out of that spot, they're just swollen and black, the veins themselves, and you watch for a moment as like these lines just black whatever push further up his veins, up into his up towards his wrist,
Can I
and
make a
it's
quick
moving
medicine check?
fairly
See if I
quick.
Sorry, can I make a quick medicine check? See if I can identify what this might be. Do I see that this is? From the description, I'm assuming this is like an infection. Something's in him.
Yeah, definitely. I don't even think you need a medicine check to see that. It's pretty much a quick moving infection.
Okay. In that case, moving quickly. So as far as the description has gone, it's going up his arm at the moment.
Yeah.
By the way, my dagger would have dropped. I would have left my dagger behind if you need it.
Amputate.
I'm
Just
gonna quickly gonna rip a sleeve off and see if I can tourniquet the arm at the shoulder. See if I can stop or slow down the infection from there.
Okay. This is where I want a medicine check.
Okay.
But yeah, you can definitely do this.
8.
Okay. And then
Looks like Tekker's dead. Great job, On.
no, you're fine. And then
Tourniquet his throat.
you've taken your shirt, you've wrapped it around his arm. You think you've got it as tight as you can possibly get it. You think you've done the best you can do. What do you can do from there?
From there, I'm going to go to my herbalism kit and quickly have a look. So this is an infection that's come from a bite. It may very well be your standard kind of saliva infection thing. It was a dead body. Okay, I'll go through my herbalism kit, grab whatever weeds and tinctures that I have, and quickly pumice together some sort of salve to put on the wound or something for him to drink that I know that would deal with the majority of infections and things, and see if it'll cure it.
Okay.
Just, bring his fever down or whatever.
The things you're putting onto that wound, it doesn't seem to be doing anything for slowing down the infection at all. And by now, like the veins have kind of gone up, like the blackness has spread up past his wrist, and are moving up into his lower forearm.
I will. I'm dead in the eye.
He's kind of regarding you with a shocked, like, gaze that's just... He's pretty out of it. It doesn't even seem like he's that aware of what's happening.
This may hurt a little.
He nods vaguely.
Grab from my herbalism kit something solid, stick it in his mouth for him to bite down on, and what I have. Please tell me I've got a sword. I don't.
You have a spear and a dagger, right?
You got a dagger nearby, bro?
I've got two. I've got a crowbar.
I would have legitimately dropped my dagger during a mantle one. So
I've got 2 daggers myself, so I've got 3 daggers to use. I will take the dagger and cut below where I've tourniqueted his arm. Get rid of that arm.
Whoosh!
All right, yeah.
This is some like Civil War surgery right here. Oh my
It
God.
takes some time, and the infection is spreading at the rate that it's spreading. You were able to you started cutting high enough that by the time you actually get through the bone itself, you've severed the arm before the infection is spread to where you've tourniqueted it at. Tekker is like he's focused now. He's back in it. Like the pain has brought him back into into awareness, and his eyes are screaming no matter how hard he's biting down on that thing in the stick in his mouth and trying to hold it together. Tears are just streaming down his face. He's pouring sweat, and as soon as that cut, that arm is off, he's just bleeding like crazy out of his arm.
I've got an interesting idea that I'd like to float by.
Yeah.
And then we can switch to more actiony things. Could I try and use suggestion to either to basically trick him into going to like a happy place?
Oh yeah,
Tell him to ignore what's going on.
Yeah. That is definitely a thing you can do. I won't even make him make a save on that. You make a suggestion, which is what? Explain to me how this spell will look.
It's all
Right.
just a magic trick, Tecker. You're making your arm disappear.
So yeah, so long as it's a sentence or two, that's all that it needs to be. So I'll put my hand on his shoulder, the stumpy one. Look him in the eyes, and say to him, "This is all but a dream. You'll dream a better dream now."
His eyes he nods and his eyes sort of like glaze, go into that sort of unfocused state that he was in before you started cutting into his hands, and then like slowly his lids start to fall, and his whole body just kind of goes lax.
I'll tend to the wound as best I can while these guys are chasing.
All right, we will take a break there on you and head over to see what these guys are up to. Alton and Agner, as soon as you're able to rush out, you see what looks to be just a stupid bat stuck in the daylight, flapping around wildly. It's about 10, 12 feet up in the air, fluttering wildly here and there, and it's making its way towards the stables. What are you guys gonna do?
Um,
I'm gonna very
I just want to do some
quickly
parkour.
my swords, pull out my, because we're still not an initiative, so I can kind of pull this out. I'm gonna pull out my Tokusatai, which is my short bow, and just start taking shot after shot as much as
Yeah,
as
I'll
much as I can do.
I'll see if a one hand axe throw hits him, and if that doesn't, then I'm gonna see about climbing up on some higher vantage point and being able to like jump and just grab him or something.
Are you gonna take off your ring and spider climb up it?
No,
Oh,
Ethel would be very angry at me. I can't do that right now. I really can't.
Are the buildings nearby? Would it be easy for a wolf to eventually make her way on top of the roofs nearby? Not this turn, but like in time.
I would say no. These are mostly
Okay.
like domed clay or stone based buildings.
That's perfectly fine. I just wanted to, Okay,
I mean, she could do
so
it, but it wouldn't be easy. It would take a while.
that's what that's what I'm saying. I don't expect it to happen in one turn. I'm talking like maybe a minute or two from now if that thing is still alive.
Yeah, a minute or two, she could get herself onto the top of a building, depending how.
Okay, then I'm gonna
A lot easier than like standard architecture, since these are actually like domed and rounded.
Right. So I'm gonna tell her to basically go up and try to get to it as close as possible.
Okay. The closest building would, of course, be the one you just left, and it's making its way towards the stable, which would be the next closest building, but that's not domed out. That is like squared architecture made out of wood. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess direct her as best as I can to kind of basically get up high,
Gotcha.
get up high. So to try to see if she can intercept it. So, and while that's going on, because that's just a command, that's just a general movement command. That's not a attack action. I'm gonna take a shot at it.
Yep, I'll give you guys each one shot at it. So make those rolls.
So I've got a 15 versus its AC.
That is going to hit.
Okay, that'll be 6 damages.
All right.
Okay, and Jesus, I'm not doing well. 13.
That will not hit.
Yeah.
So your axe like clangs into the back of the thing. It like drops a second. It drops a few feet, and just as Alton's arrow like goes right through where it was at, it kind of swivels mid-flight, like trying to look back at whatever hit it, and then it like crashes into the top part of the stables, and then it clutters to the ground, and like uses its bat wings to like scuttle into the dark canopy of the stables.
Well, I will get over to the stables as quickly as I can.
All right. You two run into the stables. The overhang casts this area into considerable shadows, considering how bright the day has been. And it takes your eyes a moment to adjust to the change in the lighting. And there's a figure standing a few feet from you, and at its feet is this this hunk of metal with bat wings. It's got one of its feet pressed over one of the wings, and the creature is trying to loll on its side and take a bite out of this figure's leg.
Mm-hmm.
And Brock looks at you two questioningly. What is going on here?
Eigner is going to take out a torch and spark it, and he's going to display the nasty broken chain links and the wound on his arm, and he's going to say, "We have a deal to settle with this disgusting thing."
Yeah,
He works
Rob-
for them, right?
right.
Okay.
And by now, the metal has fused over the face to a point that it
Right.
looks like a closed full plate helm. There's no with these jagged metal teeth. There's no recognizing that face as being Baron's.
Right. Okay. Believe it or not, that's one of your masters. It's taking the head of one of them. It needs to die.
Brock looks down at it, and now the whole thing has stopped moving. And from this angle, it looks like just a full plate metal helm with a T-slit and
Right.
bat wings coming off of it. It doesn't and then like right at the mouthpiece, there's like a jagged cut that looks like it just looks like it's all decoration.
Right. No, I get you.
And he reaches down and picks up the helm. It's unwavering, and grabs the remnants of the neck of the head inside and pulls Baron's head out.
Oof.
And looking at this head, its eyes are popped, and it just looks like somebody cut off his head and shoved it into a helmet. And he just takes a step back, dropping the head and resting his hand on the head of one of his axes, and goes, "What have you two done?"
I've done nothing. This thing was, I don't know. Okay. There's a box. It got opened. It was delivered. It popped out, jumped on this dude's head, and shit went down.
It's a classic case of a cursed magic item, and your master Baron was too stupid to realize that it was. I tried to warn him to not put it on, and he put it on. And this is exactly what happened to him.
Brock nods. I'm not quite sure what happened, but I do know that this thing was moving when I stepped on it. And the fact that it's not
yeah.
now, at the very least, it's some weird shenanigans. That's a word we orcs use quite often.
I'm sure. Look, I'll be able to get some answers. I have a friend who deals very exclusively in these strange kinds of things, and she'll want to know about this anyhow. So I will get in touch with her as quickly as I possibly can.
Yes. Otherwise, I have no choice but to report you two for murder. As
Fi-
right now, it looks like you chopped off his head and shoved it in a helmet.
Look, look,
I
look,
mean, we
look,
kind of have a
look.
bunch of witnesses,
Yeah.
so I'm not
You
too
can go-
worried about that one.
You can talk to
I'm
Goethe.
more worried about a flying bat head. So do what
Alright.
you will. I'm pretty sure that that room full of the rest of them will totally corroborate.
Yeah,
so.
before you do anything, go talk to Goethe. Go talk to poor Tecker. Tecker got it bad on the hand.
Well, why don't one of you go fetch the town guard and the other of you go fetch your wizard friend? We'll figure out what's really happened here and if this object is really cursed, and then we can work out exactly what happens and what to do next.
I have one condition. I'm taking the helm.
He kind of takes a step back, again fingering his axe. I don't know if that's a good idea.
I don't think it's a good idea to leave it here. You don't know what I know about this helm. If I leave you alone with it, it'll start talking to you. It'll start trying to convince you of things that you wouldn't normally do. And it will be more convincing than you realize. This thing is cursed, Brock. You have to trust me on this. And I might try and back that up with a persuasion check, even though my
Oh.
persuasion is not super hot.
I'll accept that.
Yeah. A 6 plus 1 is a 7. But, yeah.
Why don't we just find a safe, neutral space, and it can go there, and then if it is cursed, it won't affect anyone.
If you have an idea for that, then I'm listening.
Why don't you two go see the magic person, and then I'll go get the town guard, and so that way, because magic person's going to be the person that you want to go to, right? They deal with magic stuff. You can both go together,
Okay.
and that way, if one of you succumbs to the will of this helmet, then the other one can chop the head off, right?
Brock starts with, yeah, and then he stops and he looks back to the back of the stables for a moment, and then looks back at you and says, "I'm afraid I should stay here."
All right.
I mean,
Well, in that case,
you can't have your fish and eat it too. You're gonna have to pick one
all-
because this shit's real.
yeah, all I'm saying is that I need to take the helm. Because if it stays here, you're probably going to put it on. And then you won't have a head. And then you won't be able to do anything because you won't have a head.
Brock looks at you and says, "Why would I put it on?"
I told you. It'll start talking to you. It'll start telling you things. It'll act like it's your friend. You'll become so comfortable with it that you think it is your friend. It'll start telling you suggestions, little fun ideas, and then it'll tell you something that seems very innocent. Just put on the helmet. Just put it on. That's what I'm saying.
How do you know what it would say to me?
Let's just say I've had some experience with this before.
Oh my god, Eigner. God, you're so cryptic. I'm assuming you put on the helmet or something? God, you're so cryptic.
Yeah, he takes a step forward, holding the helmet out to you tentatively, and says, "Why don't you put this in the family crypt? That should be a safe place. You can lock the door. No one should be able to get in there."
I'm kind of not okay with dead things having that helmet.
Look, Alton, it's fine. Really. It's fine. At this point, whatever is the fastest way to accomplish this is the way to do this. So
Okay,
I
you do you. I'm gonna go get the town guard.
agreeable.
Okay.
Brock, take care of
Brock
yourself.
takes a key from his belt loop and hands it to you. This is the key. Yeah, lock the door behind you. Should be the safest place.
Will do.
Okay. And we're splitting the party once again because
Yes,
we
we are.
can't stay together because we are the least cohesive unit in all of D&D.
Pretty non-cohesive.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
non-cohesion happening for sure. All right, on. You have got Tekker's arm removed, and he is bleeding profusely, but he seems to be sleeping through it all. What are you gonna do?
Let's try and stop this bleeding. So
Use
yeah,
green flame blade to cauterize the wound. Just kidding. You don't have to listen to me.
yeah,
Well, he would have to attack somebody else and then let the green flame blade jump onto.
Goethe, do you love your son?
Oh my god!
Will you die
I'll
for him?
stab you in the stomach.
Oh, wow.
um, and then we find out that a barfly is actually the next nearest creature. No, I will try and call to Goethe though. I'll call over to Goethe and see if she'll stop screaming for a start.
Okay. You're gonna need to make some kind of check to break through the fact that she's hysterical.
Okay, I will make a persuasion check to see if I can snap her out of it. And essentially, all it's going to be is I'm going to stop going, Goethe, Goethe, and I'm just going to take a break, lower my register. Goethe. Not fantastic, but let's see what my bonus is for persuasion. A +4, so that's a 16.
All right. So the first few, she's like still screaming, and as you slow down and just say, Goethe, she like stops, takes a deep breath. She still looks wide-eyed in panic, but she stopped screaming for the moment.
Do you have anything to staunch a wound? There is a lot of blood.
We, I don't even know what we have. Rags, maybe, and I don't know what you need.
Is there a town apothecary?
Yes. Probably.
Go and fetch the town apothecary. Fetch me the rags first. I'll do what I can here. Go and fetch the town apothecary.
Yeah, she rushes over to where Tekker's little, stand is at when he's helping serve people who come in the door, and grabs just a handful of cloth and chucks it at you, and then runs out the door.
And I'm gonna see what I can do. Just patch the wound, trying to see if I can hold it there. Think if there's anything else that I can do. It will cross my mind, this whole green flame blade thing. Would I know if cauterizing the wound would help in this situation?
I think you have enough experience as an adventurer to know that to know that you can stop bleeding with fire. Like you can. But the fact is, how it's one thing to like heat up metal and press it against something to like cauterize a wound. It's another thing to try to cauterize it with just holding fire underneath it. It's got to be pretty fucking hot.
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably do it, but it's not going to be pleasant. Like he might die from shock in the process before you stop him from bleeding out.
Yeah. I'm gonna avoid all of that. I'm just gonna see if I can hold the wound. How does the headless body look? I'm just gonna look over there and see if I can see like black veins or anything.
It looks nice and decapitated. Definitely blood pooling up where the head once was. being that he's like wearing clothes, you can't really see a whole lot of like the stump itself. Like in like the upper neck area, you could see like the neck itself where it just looks like pink flash, but you can't see if anything's spread through the chest and heart area from your angle.
Still not ideal. If there's
Doesn't
any,
have a DV.
Nope, no deep V's.
oh, man. I figured he was a deep V, a waxed chest kind of guy. But
Yeah, only do
okay.
wax to the chest.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do to stop the wound. And I was about to say, put his arm around me and carry him through, but his arm's not there. So I'll put my arm under his other arm, lift it up, try and hold it there, and walk out to see if we can basically meet the apothecary part way, see if I can see where it was that Goethe ran off to, and carry him off to the apothecary.
Okay. Yeah, you're able to get up and get moving, and the moment you start moving him, the blood soaking the rag starts to come a bit faster, and he's not putting up a fight, but he's also not really helping you. Like he takes these slow dragging steps when he realizes that he's being moved, but he's still sort of in that stupor state of just unconsciousness. And he's starting to turn pretty white, pretty pale.
I'm gonna stop moving him. I'm gonna lie him back down. I'm gonna lie him down flat, and I'm gonna see what I've got in my herbalism kit. I know I've like zonked him out of his head, but there's still the possibility. I don't know exactly what it is that I've done to him. There's a possibility that he's still feeling pain, but just ignoring it, which is likely what's happening. So I'm gonna see what I've got in my herbalism kit to stop the pain. Some kind of like Anbesol liquid, some like application anesthetic that I can put on to make his likely last few moments a bit more bearable.
I am going to. I just rolled to see. I'm going back in there to grab my dagger.
Okay, before or after you've got the guards?
Before I go to the town's guard, I'm just gonna go because I'm assuming it's pretty much on the way.
Yeah. You could.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of like on the way, kind of pop in to grab my dagger. So I don't know when in this process in here that I would pop in, but I just want to let you know that's why I rolled. That's why you hear the blah blah blah. Blah. Was me to like odds are I went in, evens were I just pass on. So
okay, you pop in as On is going through his herbalism kit and pulling out some leaves that he knows after he's crushed them down he can put on to the wound to help just draw some of the pain from it.
Okay. I'm gonna go, and he looks pale at this point.
Yeah, he's lost a fair amount of blood.
Okay. I'm gonna go up to him and just dump a cure wounds on him, which should, I'm assuming, for a regular townsfolk, pretty much fill up his hit points. So yeah, I'm just gonna like walk up to him really quick and dump a cure wounds on him.
Okay, I've got to step into the GM workshop for a moment and talk about the way that magic and healing work in this world, because I don't think we've fully established that. Just because, is this a situation where magical healing legitimately can close up bleeding wounds, or is it more of a situation of magical healing can allow you to push past your threshold more so than you would averagely be able to?
In a low magic world, I would say the latter. In a high magic world like this one, I would say the former personally.
Okay.
So that's my suggestion to you guys, but you guys are the final authority, being that I'm not one of the rotisserie DMs.
Drew, Kyle, what do you think? Audience, this is a chance for you guys. What do you think the magic should look like in this world for healing? I'm curious.
I kind of want A middle option? I don't
Yeah.
know. Like,
What would the middle option look like?
the middle option would be like mixing those somehow, because I like the idea of using magic, like, because like in this instance, I would think of like cure wounds just as like you're almost like messing with time, and it's like your natural healing that would take place for that kind of thing. It's just like you make that happen in a near instantaneous kind of fashion. It's not so much like you're putting like a magical patch on it or whatever, but you're just
It's
like,
like
Okay,
a
so
mending process, essentially.
So
yeah.
like he could
Yeah.
get to a point where like the blood starts to like coagulate and actually form a scab in the situation that can
Yeah.
stop staunchly
Right.
bleeding.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind
So
of
yeah,
how
it
I
doesn't
would think
refill
of.
him with blood, but it'll basically like staunch the wound.
I like that because it's still got the magical aspect, but it allows for like scars and things to still be a thing. So like magically healing yourself wouldn't necessarily just reset you back to normal, but it would, by most intents and purposes, be as if you had rested and healed over that amount of time.
Right. Because greater restoration is what's required to actually heal like a cut off arm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So-
And that
So-
would
so-
be
so our
yeah.
healing spells could be essentially like variations on Doctor Strange's like time thing, or it just sounds like the apple's getting eaten and now it's full, eaten, full, and so cure wounds is just like, okay, let's speed up the natural healing processes, timey wimey wise, and then
Okay.
was it a restoration or whatever it is that recovers limbs can be like a full on like, okay, let's reach into 6 months ago when you had a limb.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's
Yeah, I like
wild.
that. All right, so we so our healing magic is legitimate time magic. We are messing with the fabric of time in that person's anatomy.
Sure, that makes sense.
Which then would also play well into so cure magic becomes the domain of Anesti because she is
Cool.
time
Yeah,
is
time.
part of her domain.
All right. So yeah, you come in and you know, do what you need to do to cast this spell. Give me your
5 hit points. Not a lot, but
and you both are watching as like the arteries, like the blood just lessens. The amount of blood soaking the rags just seems to lessen and lessen and lessen. And when you go to change the rags, you notice like the whole area just doesn't seem to. It seems like it's kind of grown over this. I'd just say it's really scabbed over pretty much. Blood is dried and holding in place, and you're not bleeding anymore. He's not bleeding anymore.
well, and you can do that too based on the amount that's healed in a cure wounds. That would determine
How
How
much healing is happening? Yeah. Yeah. So the injury is still there. It's still open.
but it's
it's
scabbed
just
over
not,
because I rolled a 1.
yeah, it's not bleeding at the moment.
Right. Whereas if I'd rolled an 8 plus my 4, then that would have been like
He's in the process of like it actually forming flesh again.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. I dig
Cool.
that.
Yeah, magic systems are fun.
Yeah.
So right now he is still pale. He's lost a lot of blood. He's not out of the range of, outright dying from blood loss, but he's definitely not bleeding to death anymore.
Yeah.
We're not at the risk of that.
I might, by the way, steal that for my world, or at least some variation
Yeah,
for the
it's
world
cool.
that I'm building for D&D.
Well, I mean, we stole it for our world, so why not? All right. Then you're gonna set off. Alton's gonna set off to get the town guard, and Eigner is going off
Yeah.
to check with Ethel.
Ethel.
And you're just gonna keep an eye on Tecker, make sure he doesn't outright die in the next few moments while you wait for the apothecary to come.
Yes.
All
I'm
right.
gonna stay with him, and yeah, I'm assuming he'll still be like zonked out with whatever I've done with him.
Yeah. What's the duration of your suggestion?
8 hours.
Eight,
Yeah,
eight hours?
8 hours.
What?
8 hours.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then if I wanted to, I could always make save throws to try to break him out of it if I felt the need to.
Yeah.
And then likewise, I'm assuming that if you want to, you could lift it intentionally. It's not a concentration spell, I don't think. But
It's not concentration.
okay.
No, but
Then maybe I won't give you control of it. Maybe I'm just going to let it last for as long as it lasts, because that makes it more.
yeah.
exciting.
There is a small letter C and a diamond next to it.
That-
Oh,
on
that's
That is
concentration, which means you can drop it as you can just drop it.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh. See, when
Yeah,
I click on it,
concentration
it
spell.
then doesn't say concentration as part of the duration thing. But
That is a pain in the ass of D&D Beyond. Is it does not say in spells descriptions when they're concentration spells. You have to look it up at a different part of the.
right.
What?
But the little
Does
C,
it
the
not
diamond is
do
concentration.
that?
Okay, so suggestion is concentration then. So yes, I can just drop it at any point.
Hmm.
For now, I'd like to try and maintain it so that he's not in pain. Because even though we've healed up his arm and stuff, if he wakes up and realizes his arm's gone, that's
Mhm.
you know.
All right.
Horrible.
And for me, it says the C next to duration.
Well, I think since we have taken a lull in the action, this would be a decent spot for us to take a quick break.
Sure.
Mhm.
And then we'll come back and we will resolve said circumstance and see what happens for the next half of this session.
Nice one.
Hell yeah.